Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. This is Anne from The Easing Spirit. And today I've decided that I want to talk about letting go of your ego um, and how you can find freedom beyond yourself. So, I have been a person through my life where I always had a need to control everything that was going on. And if I felt like things were out of my control, then I had a difficult time dealing with the situations. And there's even been times where I feel like I've had to absolutely be right in something. A lot of that was more when I was younger than now. Now it's more that when I'm in a situation, my ego automatically wants to step forward and take control and assess the situation. I actually went through this, it sparked this conversation today because um, I am in a program right now called it's like Business Accelerator Program. It's from these two gentlemen that run FTP, which is known as Full Time Purpose. And they have been giving the last 3 weeks free information to a certain amount of people that signed up on how to build your business and get your business going, how to put yourself out there, how to manifest the things that you want. And it's just a taste of what they offer, right? So this has just been like a taste. It's opened doors for me, and I've started doing things as far as my business goes now and posting these videos every day. However, to buy into it is going to be a chunk of money. And it's something that I absolutely want to do because I know that it's going to be extremely beneficial for my business. It's going to help me grow. It's going to give me the backing and the support that I need, that I know is going to get me to that next level. However, financially, the money, I'm not in a situation right now where I can put out the chunk of money that's required for it. And I began to find myself stressing about that. And stressing about that because I allowed my ego to get into it, and I allowed myself to begin to worry about it instead of letting go of my ego and trusting the process that my guides and my higher self are they're going to have my back. They're absolutely going to make the abundance come to me, even if it's just enough to get me to where that next step is going to be, or if it's going to be for more. And I had to really look in myself today and realize that the stress that I was going through from the situation was being led by my ego. My ego was worried about not being able to have the money, not being able to sign up right now, not being able to do what it was that I wanted to do right now. And part of trusting that process is knowing that it's going to come to you when it's supposed to. You can manifest the abundance. They had a wonderful young lady on there today named Melissa. She was on our Zoom call for the day. And she was doing hot seat coaching with people and answering business questions. And she also did a magic money meditation that, teaches you how to look at the situation of money and build a better relationship with money so that money comes to you instead of having an expectation. Because a lot of times in life, we will be our relationship with money will be very negative because we see it come into our life, and a lot of the times before it even hits our hands or as it's hitting our bank account, it's already out the door and it's taking care of bills and this and that. And instead of having a good relationship with money, most of us have a contentious relationship with it because we don't have it in our hands a whole lot, and it tends to be gone before we actually get to see it, or gone before we ever even receive it. So building a relationship with money can be very difficult for most people, and I feel like that almost ties into the ego as well, because like Melissa explained, and has explained in the past in another video that I watched of hers, that our abundance in this life is a part of us. We are very deserving of that abundance, and those things come to us automatically because we're a part of this whole energy exchange. And money is just that, it's an energy exchange, and it's how we choose to exchange energy in this day and time for things that we want or things that we want to get. And so letting go of your ego and trusting the process in knowing that what is supposed to come to you in time is going to come to you in time, whether you think it needs to be right this second or not. And so I had to take a step back today and really look at the situation. And instead of stressing about the fact that I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be at the time I wanted to be there, I started to have a conversation with my guides, and my guides were telling me, we've got you. It's okay. It's going to work out. Don't worry about it. You've already started on the leg of where it is that you need to be, and you're walking the path that you're supposed to be on, and everything's going to unfold for you as you continue to walk that path. Just do what we're laying out before you, and it's going to come in time. And so in sitting in that and looking at that and realizing that, again, I had allowed my ego to come to the forefront and try to drive, I had to take a back seat to that and trust in the process. And ego isn't just about arrogance, or it's not just about detaching yourself from your identity, options, and control, but it is ultimately too about trusting the process. It's stepping back and knowing that you don't have control of everything. As I've said in the past, the only thing you have control over is the way that you react to things, and the thought process, and your intention. And your intention being everything. So if it is your intention to give to people, as it is my intention now, giving to people and putting out there into the universe, then that is going to come back to me 100-fold. I just need to know that it's going to come when it's supposed to come. And so letting go of your ego isn't about losing yourself, but it's definitely about finding a freer and more peaceful way to live. When you remove your ego and you trust in the process, a lot of things in your life will come very, very naturally, very flowing, very unmanipulated, very organic. That's one of my favorite words that I like to use is having organic connections and having things happen in my life organically, and not that it's happening because I'm controlling it, if that makes sense. When we sit within our ego, it tends to create a false self. And we tend to seek out a whole lot of validation, but we tend to seek out validation from other people. Instead of looking inside of ourselves and knowing that we have the answers on the inside, we're out there seeking validation from others. And we also attach ourselves in roles. It could be professional, it can be friendship roles. It could be, whether you think you're a good person or a bad person. There's a lot of labeling that goes along with attaching ego to everything. And that's us not truly looking inside as to who we are. It's us wanting some type of a validation, or being accepted in some role. Oh, I'm the great employee because I've done this. I'm the best parent or the best mom because of this. Instead of just being who we are, we're seeking that out. And that has a lot to do with the ego too. And the ego tends to distort reality. It tends to cause you to see things with not a clear lens looking. It makes us defensive and critical. And it also keeps us chasing external validation. Which it's almost like the dog, or the dog that's chasing the rabbit. I know that you've seen where they have greyhound dogs that run around a track, and they put something out there that instigates them, and they chase after that, and it's a never ending loop. No matter how fast they go, they're never going to catch it. They're never going to see the end result of grabbing that prize, because in all due reality, it's not actually a prize. And so, looking for that external validation and always trying to chase after feeling validated by other people is a huge part of the ego. And it's not something that you want to hold on to. If your life, and most of us do, we absolutely live within the belief that our ego and our identity is everything that we are. And it's absolutely not the truth. Everything that we are is connected to our higher self and what we agreed to come here within this life to do. And we all have the answers inside of us. The sad part is most of us forget those things. We have amnesia to who we are when we're born. And because it's not nurtured for us to stay on a spiritual path after we've been born, we lose even more and more of who we actually are as spiritual beings within a human existence. And that, that dilutes, of course, and causes the ego to come up more to the front, because of course an ego is strictly, it's a human thing. There's nothing spiritual about the ego that leads us in life. And when you hold on to that, you build stress. You get broken relationships. You get physical health issues. There's so many things when we hold on to our ego that bleed defect and darkness into our human existence, and we're not living our authentic selves when we're holding on to that piece, and that piece seems to be so important. And more, I had a friend recently tell me that I'm super self-aware. And that actually kind of hit me, and I got to thinking to myself, you want to know what's really funny is that a large part of my life I was walking along on autopilot just like everybody else, and I wasn't self-aware. I wasn't aware of the things that were going on with me, and there are lots of situations that I've been in probably just within the last year, and some of them very, very recently, outside of the situation today, where I really absolutely had to look and be like, I got to take a back seat and see this differently, because I'm looking at it with my ego perspective, and it's causing stress. It's causing me to see the situation differently. I'm looking through a very clouded lens. And multiple times that's came up to me in the recent months, and now that I look at that statement that my friend made, I realize that I absolutely have more and more every single day stepping into being super self-aware. And it automatically, once you do that, you're able to regulate yourself. You're able to come back and say, okay, I'm going to look at this situation differently, and I know that the things that are supposed to come to me are going to come, because I'm trusting the process and I'm letting go of my ego. There is a quote from a man by the name of Ryan Holiday that says, ego is the enemy of what you want and who you want to be. So what you want and who you want to be, when you're following your path and you're trusting the process and you're knowing that it's going to fold out before you, everything just starts to come. And I've had tastes of that. I've had situations already, as crazy as it may seem, where I finally, I self-regulated and I stepped back. And once I stopped trying to manipulate the situation and allow my ego to drive everything that I was doing, and I just said, okay, I'm just going to be, and I'm going to be within what I'm supposed to be doing and walking the path I'm supposed to, everything just starts happening. And it's really, really funny because even when you get tastes of it, you'll still find yourself in a situation where your ego will pop up and it will start driving, right? And then you'll be like, whoa, whoa, wait a second. Let's pull the car over. I want to get out of the driver's seat. I don't want to be driving this car anymore. I want to be the passenger, trusting the process that I'm going to get to where I need to be, knowing that my guides and my higher self have me. And I don't want to be the driver. And so you then pull yourself back over to the passenger seat. But it's super easy for us to fall into that on an automatic because it's been ingrained in us for so long. And it takes me sometimes a little bit of a minute when I'm in a situation and I have to look at it and be like, whoa, whoa, wait a second. And sometimes it'll come within a few minutes. I realize that I'm allowing my ego to drive. Or sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it can take me a couple of days and I'm really sitting in it and I'm really processing it and I'm really asking my guides and my higher self, what is it that I need to be doing here that's going to put me within a better place so that I'm not feeling the way I'm feeling. And it always ends up coming back to let go of your ego. Let go, trust and allow. Trust and allow the things that are supposed to happen in your life are going to happen. Abundance is going to come to you. You're going to get the money that you need. You're going to get the people that you need that are going to want the things that you have to offer. And it's just the trust and allow. So I would say letting go of your ego takes a few different things. Practicing self-awareness, like I said, being super self-aware, that's one thing. Check in with yourself every day. Ask yourself questions on the things that you're going through. Are you going through them because you're allowing your ego to lead? And if you are, then take a back seat to that. Pull back and ask your higher self, what is it that you need to be doing at this time to remove that need to control? Another thing is detaching yourself from outcomes. I've had my daughter, she suffers from severe anxiety just like I used to when I was younger. And I do look back on my younger self and think, ooh, I was kind of a hot mess. I was a little bit of a train wreck, right? I was super emotional, super controlling, super had to be right about things, super driving the car of my ego all of the time. And she goes through that. She's young. She's going to be 22 in a couple of months, and she's expecting her first baby, and she's married, and she has times where she gets super stressed out. And I've learned that instead of owning that, I can detach from it. I can give her grace in the moment that she's in. And when I do detach, I detach with love and light and allow, that process to be what it is. Even though I see her struggling, I absolutely, again, have to be self-aware and have to pull myself back and realize that I can detach from those situations, and know that I don't have to be right. That's another thing, right? It's, embracing humility. Realizing that you don't always have to be right. You don't always have to know exactly how things are going to go or have the exact answers all of the time. You can trust and allow. It always comes back to that, And the other thing too about it with your ego is also it's serving others. It's giving to other people and looking outside of yourself and what your wants and your needs are and giving to others, because as we give, we exponentially get that back. So what you put out there, and I always say that your intention is everything. What you put out there, if your intention is put out to be good and kind, then that's what you will receive back. Your expectation to others is to be good and kind. And what you receive back from that is 100 times over. So that, giving to others and serving for others, in any way, it could just be sitting with somebody and listening to what they have to say, and maybe not even necessarily having an answer or anything that you say to them in return. I recently took, it was a very small workshop. It was through my church, and it was about sitting in empathy for somebody and not having to have an answer. And we were all paired off. It was two people at a time to go off and have a conversation with each other and decide who was going to talk and who was going to listen and what that was going to look like. And it's super hard for us as humans to sit in empathy with somebody and allow them to speak on how they're feeling, speak on the situation that they're in, how they're processing it, and not have an input. Not try to throw in your own idea of, oh, well, I went through that too, and this is what I did, or, giving them your opinion on how they should process it or what they should do next to make things better, but just sitting within what they say and listening and having no input towards that whatsoever. That was it was a hard situation to be in, because I was learning how to step out of myself and not have something to say about it. And that's another way that you can serve people, is just showing up and giving them grace, holding space for them, and that being it. And another way to pull yourself back from ego is meditation, to quiet your mind, or as they call it, what, the egoic mind. Sitting within meditation and just being and trusting the process. Slowing yourself down, realizing you don't have to drive the car all the time. Actually, there are times that we have to be the driver. There are situations within our human existence that require that, absolutely. But anytime that you can take a back seat to it and trust and allow, I suggest that you do that as much as you possibly can in all situations that you can, because that can only benefit you as a more grounded and rounded individual later on in life, to be able to show up for others. That's my recent talk I had was about self-care, and it all comes down to self-care. It all comes down to that, believing that you can be within the trust and allow, and everything's going to work out the way that it's supposed to work out, and you don't have to put your hands in the pot to make that possible. I would say that there's probably multiple times in my life, it probably within the last year the most, where I've actually let go of certain things and trusted the process. I mean, I've seen it happen so much with myself as of lately. Really, really strange. It's in some friendships, this whole business thing. Getting myself within a balanced place, because I'm trusting and allowing and letting go and holding grace within not needing to be within my ego, because we need to hold grace for ourselves as well. Understand that there's going to be times that we're going to grab onto that ego and we want to control everything that's going on. And then the times that we're like, wait a minute, I need to take a back seat to that. I need to slow down. I need to process more thoroughly and be thoroughly present, be thoroughly in the moment, and just embracing the moment and going with the moment and letting go the need to control. The ego tries to control everything, from what we wear every day, to how we speak, to what our expectation of what other people think of us are. And being on this journey that I'm on, I'm realizing more and more that, and I used to be told a lot that I was too direct. And I think even more now in my spiritual journey, I'm even more direct now than I've ever been. And it's not a rude directness. It's a very matter of fact directness. I don't ever lead it or guide it to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. But I believe that we absolutely have to speak our truth in this life too, because that has a lot to do with self-care. Sometimes when we speak with our ego. Absolutely. That is, hands down, probably more often we speak with our ego than we don't. However, we do have to be able to communicate the things that go on with us and the things that we need or want within even the path that we're on, in trusting the process. Ego isn't something to destroy, but it's something to recognize within yourself. You don't want to completely drop your ego off at the door and let it go, because, as I've said just a little while ago, there are times in this human existence where our ego is required to step up and be a part of what's going on. We are spiritual beings living a human existence. And so that ego does play a part. But then there is also where we can step back from that, and leave it at the door at the times that detaching from our ego is for our greater good. Whatever has to do with your greater good is the path that you should always be on. And so I've been learning that when something comes up, I will actually ask myself, is that for my greater good? Because if it's not, then am I letting my ego drive right now? Do I need to take a back seat to that? Do I need to process this situation differently so I can see it in a clearer way with a better lens? I would say that the next time I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna close this up, and I'm gonna leave it with this. The next time that you feel defensive or hurt, or in a situation where you are questioning what's going on, I would say take pause. Sit within that pause and ask yourself, what am I protecting? What am I trying to gain here? What are my expectations? Is this for my greater good? So take a pause the next time you begin to notice that your ego is attached to a situation, and ask yourself those questions. And I would say the forefront one, the very first one I would always ask is this for my greater good? Is this going to benefit somebody else? Sometimes, is it even true? Sometimes our ego drives and puts things within our mind that aren't even true. It could be, thinking that we're not worthy of something, or we're not worth it, or we don't have something to give. That right there is part of your ego too. And so I would say that when you're in the next situation that you realize, or to start thinking about this process, I challenge you to take that pause and ask yourself in that situation if what you are focusing on is for your greater good, and maybe how you can see it differently than trying to control or manipulate the situation. So the less the ego controls you, the lighter that you will become. And letting go isn't losing, it's gaining clarity, freedom, and authenticity. It's being your authentic self, right? Because our authentic self is connected to our higher self. That's authentically who we are. Even though we're living a human existence, we are spiritual beings within this human body. And so living our authentic self and stepping forward is everything about connecting to our higher power. So I don't know if this resonated with anyone today, and if I could even reach one person and it made sense to them, I feel like I've done my deed for the day. Don't forget to subscribe below. If you have any questions or are interested in any of the things that I do offer, you can definitely leave me a message here on any one of my videos. You can actually reach me via email. And the email that I'm going to give you here will be, it's my first name, Anne, Anne, and dot, and then C for my last name, as in cat, and that's at creativehealings.com. And so that's Ann.C at creativehealings.com. That's a good email address to reach out to me at. And you can also find my business page in Facebook under the Easing Spirit. So I thank everybody who listened today. I leave you with love and light, and namaste. Thank you.